Hello, everybody. This is Lorraine, Alternative Homesteading on October 4th, Saturday, 2025. And I have on the phone here Gena. Gena has provided 3 testimonies, part 1, 2, and 3, already her targeting testimony beginning May 23rd, July 1st, and August 5th, and now today in October. And Gena went from New York to North Carolina. She has workplace mobbing setups. She's still employed and she's persevering, and she wants to provide us with an update. And we've just been chatting now off a camera about the technology and how this technology is so far advanced, and it's been happening way before we're even aware of it. So, Gena, if you want to, introduce yourself quickly and give us a few words of what's going on with you.
Sure. Well, I basically, I don't even know when I began to get targeted. I feel like maybe it happened over 20 years ago. But this latest round has been since 2020 in the area of North Carolina. This is Western North Carolina. And it has just been quite the journey to see just how far these occultists, I'm calling them that, will go in order to, I guess, maintain their secrets, or to maybe just to make money. I guess everybody's doing it for a different reason. It's just astounding. I don't know. It's only by God's grace, really, that I've been able to stay in this job. I work in a child care facility with children from ages 0 to 5, and they are and have currently, actually not currently, but over these last years, been attempting to set me up in various ways. I mean, they have gone so far as to install people at my workplace, the higher-ups, as well as pretty much everybody in my particular building. There are 3 buildings in all. And some of these people are teenagers, so they brought them in under the guise of a program, a high school program where they, want to go into child care, and so they come in and can either straight up work at our facility, or come in just to do what is that called?
A volunteer work?
For volunteer sort of interning
Intern.
position. But the majority of them were brought in last year. I'd say about at least 9 of them in our building. And these people did not have their proper paperwork. They were not told that they should have a CDA and that they had maybe a year to work on it, although I've been told by other people that they didn't even qualify to come into a classroom because they had no CDA. And over the last maybe 3 months or so, they were really on the rush to get these people their paperwork, because me and the girl I work with would talk about it in the class, about how these people are not qualified. They've got the class wired for sound, so they know they've got to fix whatever, things that they're not doing properly.
Right.
But these people have definitely gotten away with things that your average individual would never be able to get away with. And this is a federal facility.
Yes. Which is astonishing, but given that we're all targeted people, we're aware that these federal agencies, the intel agencies, are all involved and complicit on multiple levels. So it's astounding that they can allow these people in there working with children at that young age group. And have you witnessed any how do I phrase it, any kind of inappropriate behaviors?
I've seen a couple of very small things, like basically frustration based on the part of these girls. I personally think that they, I'm just going to say, I think they practice witchcraft, and I never would have believed in such a thing a few years ago. Really, I just never thought about even the possibility of this. But I live on a street that is known to be the Halloween street. I mean, they dress up the houses and all of that, and that might well be why and how I got targeted was because they were up to doing something up to no good, and I just happened to be in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Sure.
But I do think now that there are people that practice witchcraft and Satanism, and these girls have no problems about lying. I'm sure that they have lied about me. They try to set me up regularly. They were really doing it the 2 weeks that the kids were gone from school, because I guess they had to have some kind of nonsense to fill up that they could say I did something, and there was literally, everybody else was on vacation. It's disgusting.
It really
is.
It's
disgusting how they use these children to push forth their plans, because these are children as well. I mean, I know that, they're up to no good, but I can't fully blame them because they've been brought up in this system.
Right. They have been groomed to a certain extent to accept the behavior as normal.
Yes. And we've had a couple of kids. We had one last year. And mind you, our little group is from 1 to 2. We're a little bit older this year, but basically that age. And we had one girl that was very dissociative. And I know that 2-year-olds tend to, easily dissociate. That's just their world. But she would come in at times not knowing where she was, almost who we were.
Oh, no.
I can only guess. I can't say, but I can only guess what might have been going on. Just the fact that this is running so rampant in this area, it's got to be in the schools.
And at homes, because some of the families are complicit.
Yes.
They're bloodline families of Satanists.
Yes.
And they systemically, in order for a child to dissociate, there has to be some form of trauma. Now, of course, they'll play, let's pretend, let's make believe, the invisible friend and all that. But sometimes that's a result of something else that's going on in the home, including the lack of sleep.
Yes.
The impact of the lack of sleep on a child is profound.
And the year before last, we had a child that had severe lack of sleep. And again, the same age, and she would literally come in and fall asleep on her feet. Now, you can't tell me a 1 to 2-year-old child is not tired at night. And we would ask about it, and the parent came up with must be 7 different excuses, each time a different excuse. One of the final ones being something about her giving the child coffee.
What?
And,
oh my.
Yeah, and then I think she realized she said the wrong thing. English is not her first language. And then she switched it to giving coffee in the morning, which then, of course, really made no sense. I think that there are people that are up to things, and I would personally say if somebody's working at a school, I think people need to start pulling their kids out of school if they haven't already.
Oh, I absolutely agree. I mean, if I had young children, I'd even considered it we're talking a long time ago. My daughter's in her mid-30s, but I'd even considered it back in the day, homeschooling. And it really just wasn't feasible. But now, if I were at an age where I had young children, I would never send them to public school, ever. So.
I mean, it's just becoming rampant, even within, I wouldn't even trust, more religious schools. And I grew up in going to Catholic schools from the age of, or the, grades 1 to 12. But I would just warn people, there's just major stuff going on that they could never even imagine. And you don't see it. Is the thing, you know what I mean? It's not like it's out there, but somebody could be casting spells.
Absolutely.
On your child, doing all kinds of things. I mean, I wouldn't know what I'm looking for. So.
That's very true. And at this young age, the children don't have the vocabulary to explain what's happening. They just don't know. Um, so
Yeah, it's just nuts. I guess I'll repeat that part that we were talking about before,
yes, yes,
just
please.
before I forget.
Yeah.
But we were discussing, the various arms of this system, and I've really been looking into recently, or just thinking about, how very often people will talk about how, MK Ultra and whatnot, all these various programs started after the Holocaust, and basically that it stems from that and from our country bringing over these various scientists and whatnot. But it's always, I've always wondered, where did those people come from? And I think there are people doing research on that. And if I come across a couple of names, like there's a Colonel Watkins I just came across this week, and she kind of gives you the nuts and bolts, like the very basics of how the military arms and whatnot work with, become the system and work against people. But I do think that it's always been, probably since biblical times, various occult groups that have, come down generationally through the years and finally have, installed or invented these intelligence agencies in order to act as a cover for the things that they've been doing all along. I don't think this is something that's just come along. I even have to wonder about the technology, since we really don't know how far back this technology goes. Maybe they had it for far longer than we even believe.
Right, and I believe that you're correct in that, because each time I'll pull up an article to read, on my channel and look at when the technology was formulated, I'm astonished that this is going back. This is not going back to like 20 years ago. This is going back to the 30s and the 20s and the 40s. And
Yes,
the labeling of schizophrenia goes back decades, discrediting
absolutely.
people, discrediting whistleblowers, discrediting some of the most highly intelligent people, who are able to see the patterns of what's going on around them, this government program, this program. And then when they start speaking out about it, they're labeled, they're institutionalized.
Yeah, I don't know if you've heard about some of the possibility, like some of the Freudian history, but it has been basically said that some of his theories, um, basically he was, these women were coming in and telling him that things were wrong. They were experiencing sexual abuse at the hands of family members. So, that was pointing to maybe the ritual stuff.
Yes.
And when he started to, I guess, listen to what they were saying and formulate theories based on that, it sounds like he was targeted. And, basically get out of our, system, and you can't, be friends with these people, or we're not going to help you. And you know what I mean, how that goes. The first thing
Yes.
they
Yes.
attack is your livelihood.
Yes.
And I think from there, he then came up with the other theories that we now know that they have pushed onto the public. So I would kind of give the side eye to a lot of psychology, because I think that the main purpose of that is probably just to institutionalize people who are beginning to see through, the machinations. It's not to say that, people don't experience emotional difficulties and things like that. And I would never tell somebody to not go see someone if they feel they need help. But, just always be questioning.
Absolutely. Now, do you see where you're working, since you have provided now 3 testimonies? Have any part of your workplace mobbing and targeting increased, decreased, changed?
Over the last 2 to 3 years, like at first at school, it really looked crazy, because what I was dealing with was a lot of people that I knew prior to the targeting. And when you're dealing with normal, non-pathological individuals, they don't know how to act pathological. They didn't know how to target, so they really looked.
Right, right,
They look nuts because they're trying to do things that are supposed to upset me, but they don't know what to do because they're normal.
right.
And over the years, with the installation of various pathological people, and I'm pretty sure they communicate maybe via some kind of texting or something so that they can tighten up their game, but they really have tightened up their game over the last, at least couple of years, if not 3 years, to make it far more covert. So what that looks like basically is, they've got all cameras on us so they know when we leave the classroom or whatever. If I go into the bathroom, which has laundry facilities in there, I did that this week, and of course one of them comes through. We share the bathroom with the other room. One of them comes in, and she's like, "Oh, hi, Gena, da, da, da." And, yes, we do have cameras outside of those rooms, not in the bathroom, but she can say anything happened in there. I leave the lights on and the door open regardless of what I'm in there to do, so that at least those cameras can maybe catch some activity. But that's just one basic example as to how unsafe they make everything. One time they tried to set me up going to the printer, of all things. And then after that, they treated me as if I had done something to this girl. I'm like, there's cameras everywhere. Nobody's saying anything to me directly, by the way.
Right, it's all innuendo and...
Nobody will accuse me because then I can get a lawyer.
Right. Right, because
it's astounding.
Yeah, yes, absolutely. Now, do you believe that any of your coworkers, so many people in targeting, say that people around the target can be quote unquote mind controlled? Do you think that they're basically playing a skit that they're told to play, or do you think that the technology is so advanced that it's implanting directives into the minds of your coworkers?
I go back and forth on that, and my current thought is that it could be both, depending on what the resources are of the area that you're in, or, you know what I mean? Do they have somebody who can sit there or, do their machinations on people? I feel like in my case, this is actual people who, to a large extent, know what it is that they're doing, insofar as the non-system people, you know what I mean? So the regular, like, pawns that they tell whatever to, and they get them to do A, B, and C. Now, the people within the system, which are the ones who don't have a problem lying, it's difficult for them to send a picture of somebody, because I feel like they're always trying to take my picture, send it to somebody's cell phone, and just basically say, oh, here's another enemy on your list, you do A, B, and C. And who knows if that person would even realize what they're doing,
Right. I want to tell you
Does that make sense?
Yes. While you were stating that, now I am recording this on a phone that I never use. It belonged to my mother. While I'm recording it, I received a silenced phone call, and when I swiped up to get rid of it, it ended the recording, so I had to start it up again, so I'm going to have to slice these together.
I thought I heard something beep.
Yes, that was this phone, and mind you, I should not be receiving any phone calls on here. So, this is their tactic to end the phone call, silence it, and this will happen with my either receiving a phone call, or let's say like a phone alarm goes off or an alert or whatever. It will automatically disconnect the recording.
Yeah, absolutely. There are people, there are TIs that I speak to, and, we keep in touch with each other, and it's basically the same nonsense. I'll tell you what I tell them. We just persevere.
Yes.
We just keep going because It is. I am not helping these people to do their job. I will not. I will not. You know what I mean? I'm not going to back down from A, B, or C because I've got to do something. It's going to get done. And, whoever I can help, and people do need to be helped, which is really what's pushing me in this, because I feel a very strong, it weighs heavy on my heart that regular people know what is about to come to them. This is horrible.
Yes. Yes. And the people that are not aware that they're targeted, I just saw the statistics. I was astonished that, and forgive me if these are not absolutely accurate, but of the people that are targeted on a watch list or whatever, evidently 70% of them are not aware that they're targeted.
It takes a while before people can, some people live a lie, you know what I mean? And they are very much wanting their life to continue to be their life, and they have a hard time facing down truths of any sort. And the truth is like a muscle. If you don't work that and are constantly telling yourself some version of the truth, you can easily live a lie. I mean, even though I was going through this for, I feel like, the second time in 2020, it took me a minute, and I was like, I really don't want to believe this is happening, because I don't want to believe that I'm living in this world.
Right. It's astonishing to me because I recorded a video, I should say early this morning, and I was one of those people, probably like many other targeted people. I was very naive about this stuff. I was not political, don't watch TV, all that stuff. And this to me was a huge, rude awakening.
Mm-hmm.
And it created a sadness that this is the underpinnings of our world. I never would have thought in a million years that this is the way of the world.
Yeah.
I never would have thought that something like this would be happening to me. Obviously, we all think that same thing. And it's just beyond anything that I would think that humans, regular people could do to another person.
No, they're not human.
Well, they're not
but
human.
I know what you're saying. Yeah.
You know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
Well, obviously they're not. Psychopaths, sociopaths, narcissists. They are lacking in the traits that would lend them to be called human.
Mm-hmm.
And human, like I thought about it just recently. The word hue, hue is like an aura. And these people, I don't know if you can see it sometimes. I look at them and their eyes are black and they don't have an aura. Like they're lacking in the human qualities of having an auric, the energy field around them.
Yeah, I mean, who knows what exactly, I mean, I could go on and on about what exactly I think these people are. They could be everything from regular people who have been really messed up since birth, and some of them I hear, like, before birth, like in the womb, they'll start trying to traumatize the baby in the womb, which is astonishing. Who would even think of a thing? All the way to some type of, I don't even know what I would call this, but like maybe some demonic force, that somehow inhabited someone, or I don't know what these people are up to, but yeah.
It kind of reminds me of that film. And I actually didn't understand the film back in the day, that Rosemary's Baby.
Yeah.
And, I had a hard time at the time wrapping my mind around what the meaning was behind it until much later years. And with regard to the in utero, I mean, we already know, it's all been medically proven that whatever the mother ingests goes through the umbilical cord to the fetus. And that goes for sound in the environment, and the emotions of the mom and the father.
Yeah. They have done scientific research, if as much as you can trust.
Right.
But
right.
in terms of epigenetics and what passes down, what trauma carries down. And it is, I think, at least a lot of their understanding that after the third generation, the thing just kind of self-perpetuates. So the traumas, let's say that they're, abusing their children and whatnot, it's not that they have to now go in, do as much work, but now the people are automatically abusing their own children and so on and so forth. It's really been a well thought out plan.
Yes.
And a lot of these SRA people, sorry to cut you off, are saying that, there's absolutely tons, like maybe even millions of super soldiers and individuals out there who have been altered, so that they're walking around just waiting to be set off and unleashed onto society.
Yes, I've heard that very thing, and that's incredibly alarming in so many ways, because it's unpredictable. You don't really know what will happen, how it will happen, who it will happen to.
Yeah.
So now
they can unleash them onto specific people, and I don't know how they do that, but we are really in a spiritual war.
Yes. I would not have even considered that years ago when I realized that I was targeted in a program. But at the time, like, I felt that I was at the height of my spirituality.
Me too.
Right? Meditating and shamanic healing and Reiki master teacher and
yes.
all of those things, having healing circles in my home. To have this happen to me and the animals and stuff, it baffled the mind. But now in hindsight, if it is in fact a spiritual war, the devil, Satan, has come to wreak havoc on all of the people that are anti their agenda. Whatever their agenda is. Transhumanism.
Chaos and control.
Chaos. Absolutely chaos. They are addicted to chaos.
It has really been, and this will sound odd to say, but I am so grateful for the opportunity in this crazy situation to learn about, because there is no other way that I would have even found out about all of these things, all of the types of people that there are, what the real agenda is. And I thought I was pretty with it. Like, you know what I mean? I thought I was pretty awake and aware of a lot of things. But this takes it to a whole different level. And there's no way that I would have even come down this path had I not been directly experiencing this. So
absolutely agree on that point. Now, and I'm sure it's a very sensitive topic and you may not be able to discuss it, but in your employment, and you've been there for a while, have you noticed, since you're there, that the children that you care for, have you noticed them developing any differently than like what a normal child would, how a normal child would be developing? Did you notice anything?
Like psychologically?
Behaviorally, psychologically, their parents, if you have the opportunity to meet their parents.
There are people who I believe have been installed, how can I explain this? That they have given us children in our classrooms in order to target me. I do believe that has happened. They have chosen certain individuals. In fact, I think we have two of them this year who were also there last year that they purposely held back in order to try to create a case against me because they know that one of those children has issues. But there have been times, and I'm not sure if this answers your question, where I have thought that they have beamed these children or whatever it is that they do to inflict emotional distress upon children, because there have been times that they have just completely been off the wall. And yeah, I know too, but still, and I don't put it past them to do things like that to children, because they don't have a problem doing things like that to animals. And I don't know. I don't know if that answers the question.
Yeah, yes. Do you think that within your work environment, because this is happening in libraries and school settings, etc., do you think that the electromagnetic field may be increasing in certain classrooms against certain children that may be selected to work against you?
I wouldn't put it past them to do it. They would have a much harder time to, actually, there was one situation last year. Now, this was just before the end of the year. This kid was an older brother of one of the kids that we had. The parent came in to pick up the child, had that kid's two older brothers with them, and the following week was the last week of school, and I was going to be out that Monday and Tuesday. That's how I remember it so specifically, is that this was a Friday that it happened. And this one kid, the oldest brother, made a specific point of coming into the classroom and bumping into me. Now, he's never bothered to come in that far into the classroom before or anything like that. And again, there's cameras. I was putting a sheet on the bed, and my hands were on the bed, so there's no way in the world. But it's just the way that he came around that direction. What made me think about that with what you said is I've always wondered, was he told to specifically do that? Does he have an earpiece? I didn't, look to see if that's happening, or is he being V2K'd or something? I don't know.
Exactly. And they're so young and impressionable, and I would
Yeah,
have
that
never
was
thought
maybe
it.
about 10
Oh, 10 years
or
old.
so. He was the oldest brother of the three. And they
It
were coming in to pick up the younger one, which is the one that we had. But I had the distinct impression that he had to do whatever he did, like to bump into me. He had to do it that day, because otherwise the following week was the last week of school, and they wanted to set up a situation.
Right. And they may have just manipulated this young person,
Mm-hmm.
which obviously they can do.
Yeah. I think about that when they've got these people on the streets walking. They're like, some of them sometimes look homeless and whatnot. I'm driving to work. And like one the other day looked like he was walking especially close to the edge of the curb. Now, I recognize that as a setup, but is that person receiving instructions? Or is he being told internally to do something? Is he someone that used to be targeted and now he's homeless and being forced to do, that would be interesting to know how that part of the system works.
It would. It would be really interesting to be able to interview these people, even at a young age.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess, most people don't have the resources. I would imagine, like, there are a lot of YouTube creators now that are actually going to these homeless, tents and setups and stuff and
Yeah.
interviewing people. And this is the only way we're really finding out what's going on the street. But to approach a young person to question them, I mean, it could lead to all kinds of potential legal issues.
Yeah, because then they just want to, if that person's in the system, they're being used. And when I say used, I mean they could be used in pretty much any capacity you could imagine.
Yes.
Probably some you can't. So if they are being used in worse ways, it really is nothing to them to try to set someone up. You know what I mean? Like, that's probably a better way for them to do their job than for them to actually, be abused or something.
Right.
If that's how it works. But I've seen them use enough of their own children in the system. I mean, one of them was breaking into a friend of mine's house. They would walk downstairs, and he'd be in the house. And I recognized him right away as being part of that group, because this was at the beginning of the targeting, so maybe about like 2021. And he had no respect for anything that anybody had to say to him. Like, so you could say to him, he would be like, oh, well, can I come over and, play cards with you guys? We'd get together and play Uno and whatnot. And we'd be like, no, because, it's 10 o'clock, you're a child, blah, blah, blah. Not to mention the fact that I recognized that he was trying to get in there to, basically find out what I was doing. But it's as if he had no respect for the word no. No boundaries.
Now, I have a question.
So,
I have a question about that. Because, in our society today, more and more people are prescribing pharmaceuticals to young children with alleged behavioral issues. In your opinion, do you believe that maybe this particular child has been prescribed some behavior altering pharmaceutical?
There's always that possibility. If he was with the system and, getting ritually abused or whatever, then I think very often there are some type of, I don't even know if you call them pharmaceuticals, I don't know what they call them at that point, but there's some type of drug being used. I know that they talk about pharmaceutical use with regard to these mass weapon events that, go
Yes.
on. I'm
Yes.
trying to be kind to your
Yes.
to your YouTube account.
Yes.
But when people are getting attacked with these weapons and they're saying that these folks are on pharmaceuticals, I think that is definitely possible. But I think that they're also trying to utilize that as the main excuse to cover for the fact that there's a lot of people that are mind controlled, because I think that's really the big secret that they do not want to let out. They don't want people to know that they are child trafficking, that they are using children in various ways, sometimes calling upon demons or whatever. This is what they believe. I don't know that they can necessarily do this, but I've, heard enough from other people who, said that they have seen these things happen. But those are the secrets that they're really trying to keep, and the fact that they're going to try to unleash this on the entire world. I think that what goes on in our community, meaning the targeted community a lot, is that they try to mirror those processes, those same processes on us in order to traumatize us, in order to utilize us in the same way that they utilize their own.
That's a good point.
So that they can enslave us and, have a definite means of controlling large amounts of the population.
Right.
That's just my opinion, though.
Like MK Ultra and COINTELPRO, it involves a trauma-based mind control, and in addition to satanic ritual abuse,
Yes.
to cause a person so much trauma, so much chaos, that they dissociate. And then, of course, if that happens, then they can come in, swoop in, and label someone schizophrenic when it's basically being done to them. And it's a trauma response. It's a defense mechanism. It's not a psychiatric illness. It's a defense mechanism.
Yes, it is. It's a protective mechanism. The body is trying to protect itself. But I don't think it's a coincidence that so many targets are targeted, in that way, where they go after the person's, privates and whatnot. I mean, men and women.
Men and women.
And I think that it really is to get people to dissociate, and I don't know if they can install altars at that point, but at least weaken the person to the point where, or get them prepared to be utilized in that way, to be trafficked or whatever idea it is that they have. Maybe there's more than one idea, but I don't think it's any different than what they do to their own.
Right. Yes, and
in theory, anyway.
That's probably true. Where they need, it's sort of like addiction. They need more and more of a drug to receive the same high.
It also feeds their satanic overlords with the loosh, if you believe in that.
Yes.
It's just that the negative feelings that the person has, the fear, the shame, maybe in some cases guilt, anger, all of the lower emotional states, those beings love that.
You're right. They feed off of it.
In some cases, maybe they're even trying to get the person demonically possessed. I don't know if that's even possible, but they're crazy enough to try it.
I'm sure they're crazy enough to try it, and with the amount of witchcraft and rituals they perform, they are literally, the way you and I, or maybe form a group, we'll have a circle, and we'll send positive energy to the universe. Their covens, they don't do that. They're getting together and demonizing and sending negative energy towards a specific individual, which is such negative karma.
And I'll say this too, that at my job, it started occurring to me over the last couple of weeks that they're having the regular people practicing witchcraft unbeknownst to themselves. And what I think that appears as is, they'll still try to tell you something in order to get you to believe it. So they think if they repeat it enough, they can get you to do it, or sort of like dominate a person through words. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
So it's like they'll have their people, constantly repeating something toward me as if I'm going to do that automatictically by hearing it enough times.
It's like a power of suggestion. They're suggesting something to you.
Yeah, like in like a mind control type of, situation. And I don't fall for it because I think I'm a bit too stubborn for it, but it occurred to me that they were having...
Yeah.
I'll do it just, I'll be stubborn just for the sake of being stubborn. Oh, is that what you want me to do? Then I'm not going to do it.
Exactly.
I'll just do that. But they've got regular people involved in this. And it occurred to me that they've got these regular people, so many people are church going, involved in Satanism without their knowledge.
Could you give me example, perhaps, or the subscribers of how that would be possible?
I don't know that it works.
Okay.
Is the thing. But I think that some of them think that if they repeat something often enough, they can get the person to do it. Like one time, one girl, and this was not necessarily to get me to do something, but to feel something, she was just like, oh, she's afraid. She's afraid. And she kept saying it within my earshot. So she wanted me to know, to hear what was going on. Otherwise, she would have just said it to the person, when I wasn't there. And it was almost, I get the feeling that she was trying to make me think that I was afraid just from hearing her say it. Because some people are highly suggestible.
True.
Some people, you can flash lights at them, which is, I think, that's one of the things that they do. Some people can dissociate just from having lights flashing at them. Some people can... I've heard go into seizures from having lights flashed, and I think that's why they do a lot of that stuff when you're driving is, partly that, and also wherever you live, they'll have lights aimed at you, these ridiculously bright lights. And so I think that they'll try different things like that. But yeah, regarding the power of suggestion, I think that they do try to do that to people in terms of their, practicing witchcraft, because I've seen enough of them now that just say the most ridiculous things to me. So you got that one. You've got them constantly trying to get me to sign things at work.
Oh.
And I finally I put an end to that. And it was under the guise of birthday cards, so it looks innocent, but we've never had that many during birthdays in the entire time I've been at it.
They want
I think
your
they were
signature.
just making it up after a while.
Yeah, they want your signature.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been reading a little bit about it just recently, that they'll take hair from your hairbrush,
Mm-hmm.
your clothing that you perspire in, your panties,
Mm-hmm.
a bottle that you've drank from,
Yep.
anything that you've touched, literally
Yes.
anything that you've touched.
They've tried to get me to, I brought some coffee in, you can have some, or, I brought in a salad, and it's not within the realm of unusual, but it's just now that I'm being targeted, I can no longer trust that stuff.
True.
And so that's what I mean by them getting people to practice witchcraft without them even knowing it, because they're picking up their practices, that they would not normally do. Does that make sense?
Yes.
They're taking on the practices of the witches. There are at least two factions at work. They're the ones within the system who know that, they're trying to set me up, and they're consciously lying about it. And then you've got the ones who were there prior to the targeting, that those that they haven't gotten rid of, they're utilizing to basically do most of the work, because those are the people who actually know their job and like their job. And also utilizing them to hide behind, because they're always hiding. So it's like they want me to interface with the regular non-system people, while the system people are in the back pulling the strings.
That makes sense.
And that's how the entire system is working. Like, I'll probably never see the actual, if there is an FBI component to it, I'll never actually see that person. That person's hidden behind layers of other people. And, so we have our supervisor, and there are people hiding behind her. But then the supervisor hides behind one of the cop's daughters that works there, that's within the system. Because when stuff is happening and she needs to be there, all of a sudden she's disappeared.
That's very interesting, and it's telling also.
It's what?
It's telling. It's like a clue. It's a clue about who is involved.
Mm-hmm. There's so much I have learned about how this has worked, just from going into work. And then you have the other components. You have the component when I'm out on the street driving. Got to deal with that nonsense. Right. And then there's the ones at home.
So how are you able to, now this has been going on for you for years.
Yeah.
How are you able to cope within the working environment?
I had to, and this comes from, I think this is grace of God stuff, because this really, like, I look back on my life, and I was with a group for quite a few years. This is what brought me down to North Carolina. There were a group of, they called themselves Christians. I kind of had differences with them walking their talk after years, but I learned a lot of important things. I learned things about diet. I learned things about meditation. And when I say meditation, I don't mean like the clearing out of your mind where you're just, something else can come in. I mean, actually you having a seed thought of something positive that you're, focusing on or working with. And it was that really that helped me, was me sitting down with myself. So let's say somebody pushed my buttons at work, somebody hurt my feelings, I'm annoyed, I'm scared, I'm whatever. I go home and I sit with that and I figure out what it is, because usually if you're overreacting to something that is happening to you today, it's usually the sign that something very old, some old trauma is there. And I would work with that in order to deal with it and accept those feelings. And they would just kind of, they would dissipate. So that if I had to face the same or similar situation with these people the next day or next week or whatever, there's no longer a button to push.
Right.
So this is me working with my feelings, not focusing on what it is that they're doing to me. You know what I mean? It's all for my growth and my benefit. Because if I sit there and think about what it is that they're doing, or, you know, yes, I do try to keep in mind when I'm at work what setup they might have. Like, oh, you want to come out here and have some ice cream? No, thanks. Because I know, you know, your witches are out there waiting for me to say, you know what I mean?
Right.
So I'll think about it to that extent. But I'm not going to live my life focused on what these people are up to. I'm here to learn what I can learn so that I can fight this spiritual battle and maybe just, you know, help somebody along the way. But, yeah.
Well, these testimonies, you're providing these, you know, testimonies, obviously it's helping so many people out there that are experiencing the same thing. There are a lot of targeted people that are not employed. And the fact that you have still maintained your employment is a testament to your strength and perseverance and your ability to function in this horrific workplace where you're constantly being set up by witches and you know, and other people.
I will say a couple of things to that. I think the reason I was able to stick it out so far at this job was because of the targeting that started happening like 20 years ago. 20 years ago, I left. Like I left the country. I country hopped because I thought, you know, maybe they were going to try to, you know, get rid of me. Like, you know, I don't want to say the K word, but
Right.
yeah, and I didn't know what these people were up to. And this wasn't even the same level of targeting that I'm dealing with now. But I figured, you know, my mom passed, and that's another possible tell there. But I don't know. I'll have to think about that. But I didn't know what they were up to. I just felt like I was being followed, and that's when I left. So when it happened this time, I was like, okay, so evidently leaving doesn't help because you are targeted around the world. They had the ability back then to do it, just maybe, you know, not as many cell phones. I don't know if they had smartphones at that point, but they definitely had the ability to text and stuff. So I just want to say to people who are not working, do not beat up on yourself for that. That is a very natural response, and they know it. They know it's a natural response for the person to want to move and to want to change jobs. And that is part of the plan of why they do what they do, because they want you to work against yourself. They
Right.
don't want to, because these people are cowards, they don't want to be the ones to do it outright. And I think that they know there's some energetic blowback from doing that to people, but they want the person to do it to themselves, to take the action on their own.
Right, for, you know, the
So,
plausible deniability, but, you know, the same instance, and this is repeated through all of the women that have provided testimony about the real estate property mobbing, is that while they're trying to push you out, they're also trying to keep you
yes,
because they're banking on you.
yes,
They're addicted to the sadism, they're addicted to the chaos, the witchcraft, they are addicted to you're their paycheck.
yes,
So while they're trying to push you out, they're vandalizing your property and also trying to keep you here. Otherwise, they wouldn't be bribing and blackmailing real estate agents.
Hmm. They will make, I think, whatever situation work for them. So you know how they have people when, they've got these wars going between countries, but yet and still they're working both sides of the war.
Yes, yes.
Or how they have people, us fighting different factions of politics, but they're working both sides of politics. They're working both sides, so it does make sense what you say with, they'll find a way to make money off you whether you stay or whether you go. They're just having fun, literally, watching the show.
Right.
It's so ridiculous. It's so disgusting.
It is so disgusting. It really is. And, and this is, I don't know. I hope there's no negative karma on me, but I hope these people get what's coming to them. I'm not one of those people that sits back and says, oh, I forgive them. I don't. I'm sorry. I don't forgive them, because what they're doing is deliberate and intentional, premeditated. And in our society, those characteristics are equivalent to deciding whether or not someone is criminally charged or not criminally charged. Is the premeditation, the planning. It's in the law books. So no, I don't feel sorry for these people at all.
They've got the and another woman just said this recently. Elizabeth, might be Elizabeth Lane, but I think she is an investigative reporter. She's trying to get the Charlie Kirk thing going, where she finds some type of pro bono lawyer for him, and she's coming up against the system unknowingly and realizing, oops, that those people are trying to stack the deck, because they work both sides. They'll have the prosecution and the defense.
Yes.
And I say all of that to say this is all the same system. There really is no difference, between here and there. They may call themselves different things, Masons, this, that, the other, and but it's all the same thing, and they always want to work both sides of the fence, so they'll have us, let's say you act out, and then they put you in, some facility or something, or they have you jailed. They've got their people in there, and if they don't, they're going to install them.
Right.
Yes. They got the judge tied up. They've got, it's outstanding, but I think they're going to do it to themselves. I think really it cannot keep going on like this, because there are too many people that are being affected. I don't know if you saw this one guy recently. He came up on my YouTube feed, and I don't remember his name, but he was calling the people the parasite class or something like that.
Yes, I saw him
I think
too.
You mentioned it on one of yours.
Yes.
He had something like 10,000 views in a really short amount of time.
In a short
time. Showing the dude out in the backyard.
Yes, I saw that. Yeah, he's got like 6 videos. It took him like nanoseconds to get all those views.
The other videos had something like, I don't know, 300 or whatever. But that one video, I wouldn't say it went viral at 10,000, but it was like at 10,000 after 4 days. And I was like, how many people is this happening? And like all of the people that were in the comments, well, maybe not all, but they were talking about going through the same thing.
Yes. There are a lot of new YouTubers coming out with gang stalking, with being targeted. There's a new channel. I was going to mention it on my channel, but I just started watching. Now, he claims he already had multiple channels. They all disappeared. Veterans with Anxiety. His name is Daniel. I'm not affiliated with him, whatever, but he's a targeted person, obviously, a veteran. And his name is Daniel. And then the one that you mentioned, who I was actually looking for his video yesterday, and I couldn't relocate it again. It did come up in my feed as a recommendation, and now I can't find it again. But more and more people are speaking out. I mean, you cannot ignore this anymore.
There is, I mean, if it is a sort of spiritual battle, then really they're coming for us. You know what I'm saying? And they've been coming for us for a long time, and it's just becoming what was covert. Well, what was overt, and now then covert is now becoming more overt again. I guess as they are starting
Yes.
to become emboldened. You know, I guess they think that they can get away with whatever, so they can do whatever. But I think they're going to do it to themselves.
I think so too, and I agree with you in that they have employed more of their quote unquote gang stalkers, more people to war against the good people with all the slander, the defamation, etc., and the money. You know, people are
Mm-hmm.
financially motivated as the economy tanks, as more people are becoming unemployed.
Yep.
That provides an opportunity for these criminals to go after those people that are desperate.
And as they are unemploying people. Now, isn't that some,
Yes.
you know, knocking regular people out of jobs
Yes.
in
Good
order to
people.
feed this system?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So now, do you have any words of wisdom for subscribers? Like, I have a lot of new subscribers that are coming across this information. They thought that they were crazy, that it was only happening to them. What would you tell, most of the new people that are just learning that they're targeted?
Um, I'd say first off, don't make any rash decisions. This doesn't mean don't leave your job or don't leave your house. People have to make, but just initially don't react out of fear, because you can put yourself in a worse situation, if, especially if you don't have any family to move in with. And then, once you understand what's happening, then you can, formulate a plan and then go from there. But I'd also say find some people that you can check in with and feel helpful to, because that's what helps me is talking to other people, and we help each other out. I mean, I've had TIs be on the phone with me while I go to the supermarket,
Yes.
because I don't know what kind of setup they're gonna have or whatever. But that's why we're here, is to help each other out in some whatever small way you can. And there's people I check in with almost every day.
Good.
Mm-hmm.
Good. Well, I'm so glad. And thank you. Thank you so much for providing this testimony. This is your fourth testimony. And I so appreciate you and your words of wisdom and the fact that you don't back down.
I appreciate you, because I mean, I go to your channel. Well, it comes up now regularly, but I'm often on your channel because it is very informative, and you're feisty, and I like feisty people. That, you know what I'm saying? Like, just and just to check in. It also is good to check in to see how you are doing. I was sad when I heard that you weren't feeling well, and then this nonsense with the animals. My gosh, I could tell you a story, but oh my goodness, um, it is terrible and disgusting
It is.
what these people do, and they don't blink at anything. It's like nothing phases them. Nothing
Exactly.
phases them.
Exactly. And I'm remiss to talk about some of the things that they've done to my cats, but in the future, I really would like to get a group of people together who have pets or know what they do to animals. And I want us to have a conversation about the satanic ritual abuse of animals in the targeting community. People send me photographs, but this really needs to be exposed. And if people are not sympathetic to us as humans, there's a soft spot in most people's hearts for the abuse of an animal.
No, they don't care. I had a snake outside my door, and I'm in a basement apartment, so they don't tend to come down there. And it was a little. I mean, I almost thought it was a worm, but it was a snake, and they don't care.
No, no, I'll tell you quickly that, and this is the second time they've done this in the 6 years I'm living here. They threw a mouse in my house. I have never, I'm telling you, see, I have never seen a mouse outside. I have cats and
You
guineas,
have
and
cats,
I,
yeah, they wouldn't
I have
make it.
never, but they threw a mouse in my house last week, and I heard it rumbling around, and then I saw it like run past me. It's like, wait a minute, what was that? And then just yesterday, I saw it drop from my kitchen shelf. It's like, I've got to get this thing, and I'm sorry, I would have liked to capture it and release it outside, but I
Mm.
couldn't have it in my house urinating, going into my food and stuff. So I set a trap. I almost killed myself
Oh my goodness.
setting the trap. It like snapped back at me. It's like, oh my God, like how am I going to get food on here to get this little critter? Well,
Yeah.
I checked it before I went to sleep, and it was still not engaged. It was still waiting there. Well, this morning I went to feed my cats. I looked down, and the poor little mouse was trapped in the trap. I picked it up, and I thought that releasing it would be alive. I mean, very ridiculous of me. But, and it had passed away. But I was horrified.
Yeah, you can't be hard on yourself. I mean, if you got you, even one cat in the house, that mouse is endangered. You know what I mean? The thing
Right.
is that they're looking for chaos to ensue, and more than likely they're watching as, you know what I mean?
Of
The whole
course.
thing is going up. They're so disgusting. It's like they want their own reality, channel.
Of course, because, and at first, like, first of all, I know a mouse is harmless. I know, I would even have them as pets, in a little cage or whatever. I've had guinea pigs and hamsters and gerbils and all that stuff. A mouse doesn't bother me, but I'm alone here, and suddenly this thing comes out of nowhere and so like
Hmm.
swoops behind me. It's like it just totally startled me. It's like, I can't have that. I start to smell mouse urine. I can't have that. I'm trying to sell my house, but that's what
Hmm.
they're doing. It's not just a
Yeah.
reaction. They want to destroy my property in any way, shape that they can. And unfortunately, I had to trap the little mouse, and it was horrifying to see that I set the trap and deleted the mouse. It's horrible. So,
Yeah, don't feel bad about that. They have sent animals out in front of my car as I'm driving. Um, One dog, he almost got hit by, this would be collateral damage. That's if that person wasn't in on it. But a red truck almost hit that dog going out into the street. They do that, and I don't know how they get these animals to run across like
oh, they
that.
can control them.
Um,
Oh, yeah, they have
they've
the
had
ability.
chickens come across. I
Yes.
mean, in an area where there's not even chickens, they don't care what happens to you or those animals or anybody else.
No. They can control them with radio frequencies, and if you have a cat or a dog that has a microchip,
Mm,
they have full control over that chip.
wow.
Unfortunately, and many of my cats from New Jersey were chipped, but of course they deleted most of them.
Yeah.
And all of these new cats are not chipped, unless of course they have come in and done so, which they could conceivably do without my
That or
knowing
they'll
it.
just do something else, 'cause
And they
they
have.
took out two, is it two or three? I think it was three cats of a friend of mine. This was years ago when the targeting started, and I still used to go over there to play Uno with them and stuff. And I could see the first cat, okay, maybe up in age, but I knew by the second and third cat, and I was like, you people are horrible. You people are horrible. They're not even my animals. They're their animals.
Right.
And just for the meanness of it, I was in tears for that one because,
Yes.
and I'm not even, they weren't even it's just, I can't even believe it.
Well, I've heard from so many targeted people that have validated that they can control the bowel movements of the animals. They can hit them with an energy weapon or a frequency to cause them to vomit. Like,
They're doing it to people, so sure, why not.
absolutely. And these are tiny creatures. If they're hitting us adults, 5'5" to 6 foot or whatever, hundreds of pounds. What do you think they're doing to an 8-pound cat or dog?
I think they can do insects as well, but
Oh,
I'm just guessing that.
they can.
But yeah,
I have had bugs chase me. Like, it's
yeah.
no joke. I have had insects chase me. It's like, what?
hmm I've
Yes.
had them like sort of. They won't not dive bomb, but they come right across the front of the car as I'm driving, or
Yes.
birds or whatnot. And yeah, you get that occasionally driving, but not at this frequency.
Right.
And now our squirrels in our backyard that we used to feed, the majority of them are gone. I don't even want to think about it. So yeah,
Yes.
they do what they do.
Yes, they use radio frequencies to achieve all their goals. Well, thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to provide
Sure.
another
Sorry that
testimony.
it ended on that note.
Well, these are things that so many people want answers to. They're afraid to ask, especially when it comes to animals, because they always turn it against you, like they do here in Jackson County, Kentucky.
hmm
You file a complaint here in Jackson County, Kentucky, that your building has been broken into and the eyes of your kittens have been harmed to cause three of them to die suddenly. And you get a FOIA request of their report, and it's called an animal nuisance. They'll call a state trooper to ask you if you lost a cat. It's absolute insanity the way they try to take bona fide circumstances and twist them against the
Yes,
targeted person.
they do it to people's children as well. They constantly try to accuse people of harming their children when that is in fact what they are doing
I
to that
believe
person's
that.
child.
Well, and we'll end on this note just because in Lecter County, Kentucky, I'm sure a lot of people have heard about the sheriff that shot the judge. Well,
Oh yeah.
yeah, so it's come out now interviewing all the women that the judge has put into a program. It's like arresting these women that have children.
He had a targeting thing going on because that woman, that one woman that was talking about it, I think she was in jail for 12 years or something crazy.
Yes.
And she was saying how, after a while, they were just picking her up and taking her, in. And then she had to, be nice about it, perform services
Yes.
for these people. But she said that they would do it with people's children. So if your child gets arrested, your husband gets arrested, and they could be making up the arrests if they want. I was like, there it is
Yes.
in a nutshell.
That's exactly what was happening. And they were holding it over these women's heads that we are going to call CPS and you will never see your children again unless you do this. So, of course, that particular judge, he is deceased. So we're only getting one side of the story now, and we never know if that side of the story is absolutely accurate, but it's happening all across the country, and I thank you so much for taking the time again.
Thank you.
This is absolutely going to be helpful to all the newly targeted people, the older targeted people, and I'm going to end the recording now, so we can have like a little quick goodbye.